and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel once more, and welcome back to another one of these winter break live evening chats. I'm starting to enjoy these, and I thought to myself, do you know what? Let's just keep going once more. Let's keep going with these sort of little evening live shows, because I'm kind of enjoying them a bit more than making videos at the moment. I've been enjoying the interaction. I've been saying it every fucking stream. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but we'll get back to the normal videos with the editing and the graphics and everything else as the season returns next week. But I've also got videos planned for next week as well. The podcast hopefully coming back as well. Ryan McGinley, Kieran Auld, Callum Craig, the whole crew, and hopefully some good content coming up for the next few weeks as we approach the derby, which is a little bit of the topic tonight, because we have had a bit of an update on the news regarding the Japanese boys at Celtic, KYOGO Furuhashi, and the 3 new signings and their availability, or their potential availability, I should say, for the derby match on the 2nd of February. Now, before we get into that, thank you everybody who has tuned in so far. We're nearly on 200 live viewers already, which is phenomenal. If you are new to the channel, you haven't been here before, please make sure to go down below, hit like, hit subscribe, join the army. We're nearly at 32,000 subscribers. The quicker we get there, the better. I thank you all. And if you're also watching this later on past the live stream, you're watching it back on video mode, the exact same applies to you. Please make sure to hit that below. Thank you to everybody so far who's tuning in there in the live chat below. And as Emmett has pointed out, yes, I am bald. I'm going very bald, Emmett. You know that. You don't need to remind me of that. Look, there was a big story that broke this morning in the media, and I think that we need to kind of talk about it. It's kind of went under the radar in my eyes, right? I'm not going to lie. And yeah, just to, once again, make out this point, I am in here again. So I drove up here this morning. I drove up to here this morning to come and visit my mum and dad, as I do. I do it on a daily basis. I always come up to see my mum and dad every single day. Don't miss a day of doing it. I need to get it done. It needs to be done every day. So I drove up, and you've seen the weather outside. The weather is absolutely atrocious. The snow is out. The ice is out. I just got my new car last week. Last week is when I got my new car. I am still getting used to driving the fucker. It's an automatic as well. I've never drove an automatic up until last week. So driving it in the snow for the first time today was quite the culture shock. It was quite the... It took a bit of getting used to. And now that it remains dark in the day and I've lay here watching Drive to Survive, I've realised, you know what? I don't want to go back down the road. I don't want to drive down in the dark and the snow and this weather. So I'm up here. And that's why the video is from here today. That's the excuse. I'm not going to sit and make up a bit of a pathetic one and all the rest of it. I thought that I would just give you the honest truth, and it's that I'm not driving in the snow. I can't be bothered. We'll see if I can be bothered doing it later on. Anyway, a story broke this morning across a few of the tabloid papers. We've seen the Daily Record, the one that I don't want to mention its name, and a few others report on, and that was about the situation in regards to KYOGO Furuhashi, Ryo Hatate, Yosuke Hidiguchi, and Mr. Dyson Maeda in relation to their availability for the Japanese national team. Now, of course, Celtic were scheduled to play Rangers on the 2nd of January. That was the scheduled date for the derby match. That was when we were meant to play them. Celtic, along with 10 other Premiership clubs, requested the postponement of fixtures until there was a time where we could see fans back in the ground. A move that I think was very beneficial for everyone. I know Rangers and Rangers fans will say it wasn't beneficial for them. Trust me, football with a crowd is beneficial for everybody, and that's a fact. So, you know, we've seen this fixture get moved, and it's been moved and rescheduled to the 2nd of February. Now, as soon as that was done, and as soon as it was announced that Celtic, and I'll come on to the chat, by the way, later on, and I'll bring up questions and such. As soon as it was announced that that game was going to be held on the 2nd of February at Celtic Park, rather than the 2nd of January, alarm bells started ringing for some Celtic fans, and Celtic fans noticed a slight issue with that match day. They noticed that, you know, things may come to a little bit of a collision with the Japanese national team, as they would be taking part in, I think, their World Cup qualifiers around a similar date. Now, Japan take on China and Saudi Arabia on January 27th and February 1st. 2 fixtures in which, at the time, wasn't a big a deal, because the rule was that KYOGO and any other Japanese player wouldn't be able to enter the country. Japanese were going to be the Japanese people, and the Japanese government had decided that you couldn't come in, basically, and they would have to pick players solely from the Japanese J League. That would be the only players that they could get into their league. Thank you for the £2 donation, Con. I'll come to your question at the end of the video. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it, though. What a legend. And I'll come to everybody else's questions as well at the end of the stream as well, so stay tuned. But the alarm bell started ringing, but it was confirmed that, you know, KYOGO and if even the new guys who weren't here at the time would be fine. because they couldn't get called up for the national team. It was going to be J-League players only, and that was fine. It seems today that has changed. It seems there has been a change in the ruling, which has made life a little bit more difficult. And we're going to talk about the consequences to that in a moment. We're going to talk about these guys, if they're going to be missing for the derby, and the chances of that happening. So this was the quote that came out in the Daily Record today, in the Record Sport. If the original harsh rules applied, then foreign-based players outside of Japan wouldn't have been allowed into the country. And so the JFA were considering playing abroad instead. But it's been reported in the Far East that they have yielded due to the high public interest of the doubleheader of games for Qatar 2022, which Japan are struggling to qualify. It goes on after that to basically say they will allow the special exemption to around 100 people, which includes the player and staff of both China and Saudi Arabia, to allow them to play the game in Japan. And they will also allow Japan's foreign-based players to enter the country too. In return, the Japanese FA have promised to maintain a super strict bubble to prevent any spread of infection from when the foreign players enter the country until they leave, which does mean that there is a realistic chance now that KYOGO Furuhashi, Ryo Hatate, all the new boys could be going to Japan for these games, which leaves the situation as simple as this. If they go and play that game on February the 1st, there is no chance they're making it back to the East End of Glasgow from Japan on February the 2nd. There is no chance of it happening, and they will miss that game. However, there is a chance that it might not happen. This isn't confirmed yet, and this is why I was hesitant to doing this live stream tonight. It's not confirmed yet. It's being reported in Japan that that's the case. Now, I believe, just like every other country in the world right now, dealing with a world and a global pandemic, that there's going to be a lot of developments between now and even next week on rulings and different sort of guidelines and everything to do with the pandemic. Also, you've got to take in mind, and this is one of the reasons I did want to do the live stream, I think it's very easy to be drawn into these sort of articles and then straight away you're going, well, that's it, they're away, gone. This is a kind of an article which can easily lure people in and automatically going, okay, that's it, confirmed. It's not confirmed yet. When the news is confirmed, trust me, I'll be here on the channel to talk about it. We'll talk about it in great depth. But the ruling does look as though it's going to change, and it does look possible. Now, there is every possibility that Ange Postecoglou and the players themselves can say, no, we're not going to travel, we're going to stay here for whatever reason. However, I just think if the possibility is there for these guys to go abroad, I think we should probably prepare for the realistic possibility that they won't be here for Celtic on that game. I don't see them turning down the chance to play for their national team. Very proud people. I think that they'll want to go over and help them qualify for the World Cup. The fact is, Japan are not in a good state in qualifying for the World Cup. I don't think they're going to throw in the white towel. I think that would be probably quite a bad look on the players themselves. The only kind of person that I can see stopping that if there's a chance is maybe Postecoglou. And I don't know if that's going to be one of those things that he feels like it's his sort of responsibility or his sort of, I don't think he'll feel like he has the right to do so in a way. So it's weird. It's going to be weird. So this brings it on to this part of the thing. And this is what I want to get into. So Mark has raised an interesting comment in the chat. I read that the SPFL rule states if any club has 3 or more players who are on international duty, the club can ask for postponement of the game. This game's not going to get postponed again. It's not going to get postponed again. And that's even without those players. And Tom Rogic as well, who'll probably be gone. So you're thinking already, that's 5 players are going to be missing for this game. We're going to be missing Tom Rogic, we're going to be missing KYOGO Furuhashi, Dyson Maeda, Yosuke Deguchi, and Ryo Hatate. Those 5 players could potentially be gone for that game. There is no more room, I think, for us to move this game. I think we've had a slice of luck with getting the game moved. I still think I would have loved the game to get played in January 2nd, in all honesty. I want it to get played in February 2nd. It's just one of those things we've got to deal with, I think. We can't really, as Celtic fans now, moan about players being away in international duty. Now, I know we have that little bit of wiggle room, of course, that we can say, well, the game wasn't meant to be on that date. Surely we can move it to another date. But I think, we're a team who've signed players playing in this section of the world. You've got to expect it. It's like Liverpool with their African players going to play in the African Cup of Nations, or any other club with players in the African Cup of Nations. They've expected it. You know what I mean? They have to anticipate these sort of things. Players aren't going to be available all the time. And that's going to be the same case for Celtic and Japanese players and Australian players. We've sort of landed ourselves in that position. I think that the possibility of us getting this game moved once more is very, very, very slim. I don't see that happening, in all honesty. I think it would cause a mass outrage, not just amongst Rangers and their supporters, but I think maybe throughout the rest of the league, because then you can see the conversation of Celtic getting priority and all that coming up. And look, I don't care. If we could get it moved, fair enough, but I don't think it will be. And I think that everybody kind of wants the game to be played, especially if we can get the crowd in on that Wednesday night. And if we have to play without those guys, then we'll just have to work around it. Now, I was going to go out my way and make a graphic of a potential sort of team, but let's try and talk our way through that. If we are missing those guys, so straight away, you've got the 3 guys that we've just signed. We don't know what their involvement in the squad is going to be like. We don't know if they suddenly walk into the starting lineup. So you're suddenly dealing with the 11 we've already had anyway. KYOGO would have to come out. We know that. We can't exactly bring Maida in. So who plays up front? That's the main one. That's the annoying one. I think Rogic, and with Turnbull being out, is also annoying, but the main one is who plays up front. It does create sort of a headache. You are missing a lot of key players, especially Turnbull being out injured as well. It does make this game very frustrating. And you're just hoping that they don't go for that international duty. You're looking at a very strong team besides, I think, those 2 areas in the attacking midfield and the striker. If Rogic is away, and KYOGO's away, that's the area where we struggle the most. Jota should hopefully be back. We'll have Abada. We'll have, our other central midfielders and Callum McGregor. And we'll have our defenders, our best defenders. I think, we're looking at a very strong side, bar maybe the top of the park. And that's where it's going to be the struggle, of course, to get goals. But I think that if we can just hopefully hold on to these guys, we should be okay. Will we be okay without them? I don't know. But as Mark's raised a good point, Rangers are already missing players as well. Due to the African Cup of Nations, I believe Joe Aribo, for example, is away over there. Maybe Liam Balogun as well, a couple of other guys. They're missing players to the African Cup of Nations. So it's not like we have the right to go, okay, let's move this game because we've not got players available because they're away at the Asian qualifiers. I don't think it's going to be a possibility. And if these players do decide to go, we're going to have to face the reality of this game being played. That is basically it. Ange Postecoglou will have to deal with that, and hopefully will deal with that, and I'm confident he can. Look, I know it doesn't leave us in the best position. It does take a knock on confidence, but I believe we've got a good enough team and a good enough manager to go and try and do this and try and win this game, whether they're playing for their country or not. So yeah, that's the big news today. As we had the graphic up on screen there, I'll let you guys fire in questions and such. It is quite annoying. Just because they are so close, even if there was a couple of days of wiggle room, if the game was played on, say, I don't know, January 24th and 28th, and then maybe have them back just in time. But it's the fact that game against Saudi Arabia is on February the 1st. We play Rangers on February the 2nd. It's just not going to happen. So we are dealing with this chance now. But as I said, take it with a pinch of salt. It is just an update and a potential update. There has been no confirmations yet as to whether or not they will or will not be going. But if this sort of update is to be believed, then they've taken one step closer, the Japanese national team, to getting those guys playing. But I want to get the game played. Do it with them or without them. I want to get the game played. I want us to get it over and done with. I want us to try and challenge them and try and close that gap at the top of the table. And I believe we can do that. I really do believe we can. So we'll see. Get your questions in. We'll finish off the live stream tonight with a kind of 5-minute session of questions and answers, as we always do in these sort of live streams. And I've enjoyed, as I've said already, these winter break live chats. They have been fun. We've got about 350 viewers right now, so thank you to everybody who has tuned into the live stream tonight. But let's get some questions in, whether it be about the situation involving these guys or whether it be about anything else. Feel free. Where is Mr. McGinley? I did ask him if he wanted to join me, but I think he's away out picking up dinner or something like that. So that's the reason he's there. Daniel's saying it could be one of the worst Old Firms ever. It could be one of the best Old Firms ever, mate. They never know. It could go either way. It could be a real entertainment. It could be a real feast of entertainment, or it could be a murder for one of the sides. You don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. Let's see. Peter Monahan saying no more postponements. Get the games played. We have enough to beat them. I agree. I really do. I know that Rangers are right now top of the table, 6 points clear, and arguably they do have a better squad than us at the moment. But you know, we do have a side that can challenge them. At Celtic Park, we should be challenging them. We should be beating them. We shouldn't be challenging them. We should be beating them, no matter who's in the squad come that game. So I just want to get the game over and done with as well. I would like to see that. MVCC says, do you think without the 3 Japanese boys who haven't even played a game and Furuhashi in the team, we don't stand a chance of them losing more players to duty, international duty? I'm trying to just read the question in my head there. I went through it too fast. I just didn't understand it at all. We have every chance. I think Rangers missing players is also massive, of course. Rangers missing players will be huge, and there's some big players that might be missing for them. But, you know, for us, you know, we need to concentrate on ourselves, and there's no point in focusing too much on the opposition. The manager doesn't do that, and I don't see why the fans should be doing that. We should be focusing on our own team. Martin saying don't want a backlog of fixtures. Absolutely, I would agree with that. That's one thing as well. Yeah, there's something Lee has brought up that, you know, Sorrow being linked away with a move today. It looks as though he might be away. Look, if it's what he wants to do, it's what he wants to do. It's probably for the best of his career. I don't think he's going to get much more of a chance at Celtic. He's had his chances, and I think he's shown that this season when he has had those chances, he's not good enough. Look, I would like to maybe see him go on loan, so we do have him as a player, but if he wants to leave, then he wants to leave, and I think that we should accommodate that, try and cut our losses and move on. I don't see him breaking back into this team anytime soon. And look, I know he came into the team last year when Neil Lennon in charge, and he offered a real sort of positivity, and he offered something a little bit different that we were all buzzing about him, but he never really progressed from that. And it's all well and good that we might have overhyped him a little bit when he came into the team, but he didn't build on it. He had to build on that hype, and he never did. Let's see. Oh, a big donation. Thank goodness. Hello, Blake Owen. Blake Owen, thank you very much. £5 donation says Celtic could sign both Goodmanson and Fairhart for less than Boyle. Something to think about. The Boyle one was something I was considering of doing as my video today, talking about that Martin Boyle link and the whole £3 million. Now, just two names that you've sort of named there, Blake, you know, Goodmanson, Fairhart, they're just two guys. There's a plethora of players out there that I think we could sign for less than Martin Boyle. I like Martin Boyle, I really do. Fantastic player. I would maybe love to see him at Celtic one day, but not for the fee of £3 million. And there's just a breaking news that Liam Shaw has moved out to Motherwell, by the way. Just spanking new, fresh out the station. It is confirmed Liam Shaw will be joining Motherwell for the remainder of this season. So there's that news for you if you're listening in live. Breaking news from 9118. Goodmanson and Fairhart, yeah, two names, but I think there's plenty of players. I do like them, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Andrew, I agree with you. I've wanted to see Boyle at Celtic for a little while now, but just not for £3 million. And I know there's, you know, it's not me paying the money at the end of the day, but I think there's other players we could spend our transfer budget on. Arthur puts a good question in here. Does not winning the derby put the league out of your reach? And this is something that actually, I said I wanted to talk about the bigger picture about these guys maybe not being available for this game and what it means for Celtic and means for our chance of winning. If we don't win this game, if Rangers beat us and they go 9 points clear, it does suddenly create a gap that you would think is maybe insurmountable. You'd think that maybe Rangers have went away with the league title at that point. And that's why it's important we do have these guys. I think that, you know, that's something to judge close at the time. I think the players who do play that day, whether it be them or not, need to know and need to understand the significance of the game, and they need to understand the importance of winning the game. There's three guys. Look, it's all very well and good saying, "Oh, we're missing all these players." Three of them we've not even seen. You know, we've not even seen play for Celtic. It shouldn't make that much of a difference on our confidence. We've been confident of being able to beat Rangers for months now. It took a little bit of a hit against St Mirren, but we've been confident of it. Every Celtic fan has been, and I think, you know, Rogic and KYOGO are the two biggest misses out of the five. But yeah, I don't say it puts it out of reach, but you certainly talk about it being unrealistic, I would say. I think we've seen that gap closed before, but it's very rare. The occasions of that happening, you know, it's a must-win game for Celtic. If we draw the game, it wouldn't even be ideal. But yeah, Forrest and Karamoka, we spoke about that last night. Hopefully he does get a chance in the Celtic team in the future, and hopefully he fights back from this injury. But yeah, that'll about do it for tonight. I think we've spoke about the main piece of news. We've spoke about that development in the Japanese national team. We'll wait to see what the news comes from, and we see what happens and how that develops. As I've said in this already, take it with a pinch of salt. It's tabloid stuff at the moment, but I would say it is leaning towards the side of truth, and I would say it's probably going to come to the scenario where those guys could be going and playing for Japan. We can only wait and see. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. Anyway, like and subscribe if you've enjoyed tonight's episode of the Winter Break Live Chat. I've enjoyed your company as always. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the conversation, and hopefully we'll see you again.